Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel for a brand new video. This one is all about why I'm not a massive fan of Betsy Braddock as Captain Britain. Now, as I said in the video, I did a review of Captain Britain. I got tagged in a thing of like a GIF, image, video-y thing of Captain Britain saying like, oh yeah, Britain represent. But for me, the Captain Britain mantle has a lot more significance to it and interest based on King Arthur, Merlin, and Glastonbury and Avalon. And I've got a lot to go over and explain as to why. So Captain Britain, in essence, has had a lot of character appearances. He's had a lot of influence in Excalibur, but as well he's had a really decent origin story, which I kind of feel like having Psylocke, Betsy Braddock kind of overshadows that. Funny story, I was actually having a conversation with a former Kabam employee about Captain Britain, and they were like, oh good, he's been put in the game. And I was like, kinda, it's Betsy Braddock. And they were like, really? That's odd. Now, I can't go too much into that particular story and how it unfolded because of security and privacy reasons, but that's something saved for another time. Look, Captain Britain has had many looks over the years as well. I like this look here because it's quite spiffy, and also it's kind of similar to the Beefeaters or the guards of the Tower of London, which I think is really cool, and showing one weapon right there, but also there is a second type of weapon which is kind of like a scepter or spear. So there's been various different weapons. I mean, at some stage he had Excalibur, and I think there was like another time where he had like another kind of sword type weapon, which is one of the things he got a choice of when he was dying. This is why for me it would have been cool if they had Brian Braddock into the game, because he would be a mystic based character. So the story here of Bleeding to Death, Brian was approached by Merlin and his daughter Roma, who told him that he could live if he became Britain's next great champion. They offered Brian a choice of the Amulet of Right, which is to give life or, you know, stuff, or the Sword of Might, Death. Being a scholar and not conceiving of himself as a warrior, Brian chose the amulet. So that kind of like puts him into more of a mystical based character based on that particular choice, which the amulet you can see right there, and that scepter I think is the Star Scepter, which allows him to fly. Now at this point you might be thinking to yourself, well Rich, what's your problem with Captain Britain? What's the kind of like issue that you have? For me, it's all about the legends that surround the character, the past, and also tie-ins and things. The same way that you could be like, I don't know, from India, and say there's an association with a Marvel character that's associated with the Taj Mahal, and for whatever reason, you know, when you kind of come to see your favorite character in the game, say, would have that association, it's not there. And here's where legend and kind of like my locality, where I used to live, comes into association. So I used to live in this town here called Taunton, which is meant to be the county town of Somerset. In Somerset, there's a place called Glastonbury, which is close to Glastonbury Festival, which is around about, let's put it into kind of perspective there. And then there's this place called Glastonbury Tor. Glastonbury Tor, the kind of area thereabouts, is meant to be associated heavily, Glastonbury in general, with the Isle of Avalon, and that has got associations with King Arthur. Especially over the years, the flooding used to happen here, so it used to seem that when the Tor, Glastonbury Tor, which is a little kind of like abbey, not abbey because there was an abbey there, but kind of like church-like place, or kind of I don't know, spirey type place, used to be associated as it's an island. The way that the legend of locality, or where I live, and also Marvel come into play is indeed with Avalon. You've probably just seen Morgan Le Fay there and kind of wondering what's going on. So Avalon, an island which Britain's legendary King Arthur was conveyed for the healing of his wounds after his final battle. It is the first mention in Geoffrey Monmouth's Historia Regum Britannia, so basically like an old history thing, while the same author, it's called Fortunate. It was ruled by Enchantress Morgan Le Fay and her 8 sisters, all of them skilled in healing arts. Geoffrey may have been attempting to connect the island of apples, so it looks like there's kind of like multiple things, but just generally it's kind of said that Avalon has been identified with Glastonbury in Somerset, and this may be connected with the Celtic legends Isle of Glass. It's like there's so many things going on, interweaving with the legend. Even more so because this is so close to the Somerset Levels, which is a synonymous place for flooding all the time in the UK, like, or in Somerset. This is all we knew. It's like Somerset Levels. When it floods, it ridiculously floods. There was like a place that was just underwater, like a wicker basket place that makes wicker baskets, and it was always underwater all the time. And there was just like, this may have been back in ancient times what you might have seen. And even though like Arthur's legend is associated with the 500 AD, in 250 AD, this kind of like which was referred to as freshwater wetlands right there, this may have been what you would have seen from the tour. So it's very likely that it ties into history, but it's always seen as a legend. Like, it's not particularly real, but the legend, sometimes you kind of look at stuff like this and go like, if that was all underwater and all you saw was the tour and a little bit of kind of like land right here, you go, there might be something going on here associated with King Arthur and Avalon, which again, just to kind of further explain, this is like Somerset Levels type area. And a final bit of sidewind away from the main topic, which is all very relevant because it's all talking about Avalon and how that kind of like breaks into our story of Captain Britain, but I will kind of sidewind this again. So King Arthur's kind of like tomb was meant to be like found at the south side of the Lady Chapel, and then it was kind of like taken somewhere else, and it was in a black marble tomb, and it's meant to be at Glastonbury Abbey. If you want to check it out, go and check out Glastonbury Abbey or search up stuff on it. I've visited this many times. Me and Emma visited it. Me and the lads visited it for school trips. And I just used to be, as like a kid, just so fascinated with the story of King Arthur, and especially with how there's been many depictions. You know, we've seen stuff like the King Arthur movie, which isn't too bad, but it kind of ties into some sort of like Roman kind of occupied kind of version of it. And then there's also been the recent TV show, BBC TV show called Merlin, which does actually end being in Glastonbury, and also has that final shot of Glastonbury tour, or the kind of like what would be Avalon back in a day. And you know, here's like a little I don't know, image saying like, okay, well, you know, saying that King Arthur's resting place is at Glastonbury Tor. It's not been excessively excavated, but it is just, it's quite a beautiful place to go and check out, and especially the way that the sun kind of like sun comes in, especially on sunset and sunrise. It's pretty darn nice. Now, how does this all tie together with the point? And again, there's so many things to explain with the point, but the point kind of like opens up with this, and that's Otherworld. So Otherworld is a pocket dimension adjacent to Earth, and it serves as a nexus both to other dimensions and within Universe 616. So I don't know how to kind of like explain that as an example of something in it's kind of the micro realm. The micro realm, I think that's it. Microverse, mirrorverse, whatever it is. Yeah, it's like that. It exists kind of like that. It's a pocket within a pocket in other stuff with it, and just going to give examples of people who reside in it. Merlin, for example. Merlin plays a big part, as we've just learned, in kind of giving the powers to Captain Britain, and as well Morgan Le Fay having some kind of like input there. But one of the key things for me is the following, like the portals, and how Avalon and the Glastonbury Tor is associated with that, and the kind of Arthurian legend where it all ties together. And I think that's very important. You know, Merlin was the wizard of Arthur. I mean, I think we all know that. And you know, the access routes are places like Cheviot Hills, Darkmoor, Stonehenge. That's close enough to myself. Hadrian's Wall, Buckingham Palace, Cragside in Northumberland, Clifton Suspension Bridge. You know, that's close enough to me. But the main thing is, and right here, Glastonbury Tor. And Glastonbury Tor is obviously the main focus of what we're talking about here, and how that's kind of like important to me, and the locality and elements like that. Also, it seems like I just found out that Ghost Rider / Blaze Spirit of Vengeance 18 in 1994 Glastonbury Tor is mentioned. So that's cool, and that ties a lot of stuff in together. Now, maybe it is just like a me thing, like wanting Captain Britain, as in Brian Braddock's version in the game, because of, well, he started it all off. I thought there was kind of a good, rich kind of like history between and legend that associated with Merlin, Arthurian kind of like legends and stuff. That would be good tie-ins, but I guess that's not the case. And I guess that kind of comes into a point of going, is this something to push for the women of power type element to things, and maybe like the way that the modern day Krakoa storyline is going. But, you know, Brian Braddock still has some associations with Krakoa. Even for a time, you know, he's in this particular like arc, he becomes Captain Avalon. But I don't think this would ever be something that would kind of be fun enough to go into Marvel Contest of Champions. But definitely expansion of Krakoa would be cool to see, like the original Captain Britain. Especially having an option that could be a mystic-based champion. Because he has interdimensional energies acting as a battery for when he's away from the Matrix which surrounds British Isles. His costume has also at times been able to generate protective force fields. There's stuff about him being able to fly. I can imagine he'd be very powerful. You know, Sword Bearer of Krakoa, as we said. Quarterstaff that he's had in the past. Star Staff, Excalibur. There's definitely been lots of different things about the character which would be cool. As a mystic character and interdimensional, he could also be he could be countered by Blade, because you know how he's able to take down into like dimensional beings. So look, you know, I kind of think there's it would have been a very good value for him to be put in the game. My biggest concern with this is like going like, okay, well it's gone. It's gone. The character's gone. But I just love the fact, and the reason I wanted to bring this to the kind of the forefront is that, you know, I love the character. I love the backstory, and especially the tie-ins with stuff with Otherworld. But also how it's important to me from a local perspective, because this is basically not a local hero, but it factors into a local legend, which is the legend of King Arthur and Avalon and Glastonbury Tor and Glastonbury Abbey. Not the festival though. King Arthur didn't perform at Glastonbury Festival. Well, he may have done back in ye old times, if he actually existed. The final thing to mention is that there was and is some tie-in to Contest of Champions, namely the classic Contest of Champions, the one that featured Grandmaster versus Death. And in this one, you saw the version there of Captain Britain, which is the one that's got like the Beefeater type thing, the Tower of London Guard type like uniform, versus a few other people in the contest. So that was cool. It's, you know, ties in stuff that we could see Brian Braddock, because at that time it was Brian Braddock. And there's been years of history rather than going, as I said, for me personally, it's okay. It's just I find it a bit odd to just go, oh, we've just handed the mantle over and we're just kind of focusing on this. But it's like, takes away a lot of backstory to Captain Britain, all his different uniforms over the years, his tie into things with Otherworld, Merlin, Morgan Le Fay, and other elements like that. But it is what it is, it was what it was, and that's been a video. Hopefully you might have learned some stuff about the legend of King Arthur, and as well tie-ins with Glastonbury and other things when it comes to this particular character. As I said, I'm not bitter about this, but I just thought it kind of be good to kind of explain why Captain Britain and the association and legend with Arthurian stuff and Otherworld. It's important to me for whatever reason. But yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Check out some other content which is on screen right now, and I'll see you in the next Marvel Contest of Champions associated video, whenever that might be. Appreciate you. Have a good day.